Gentlemen, welcome back to the Tiege Hanley Starting a Business, Building a Brand vlog. This one, big number 129. Can you believe I've done this for 129 weeks? I can't. Anyway, big vlog today. Got a lot of stuff to talk about, some exciting stuff. 2 questions from the last vlog that I want to answer that were awesome. But the first thing I want to talk about is basically a shout out to a gentleman named Bank. B-A-N-K. I think it's like short for something, but here's the story. So every time I go to Chicago and we have these quarterly meetings, we always go out to a really nice dinner, right? You know, it's usually like me, Rob, Kelly, and then, you know, this guy Brian. If the chemist is in town, he's there, and this other guy Joe. Anyway, some people that are basically advisors to Tiege Hanley that are super smart guys, and this time we had the privilege of having Terry and Brian. Well, it was an incredible steakhouse, right? Like, Chicago has some of the best steakhouses and restaurants I've ever experienced. Just incredible food. If you're ever in Chicago, 2 that I would recommend. Number 1 is a place we went the time before this called Bavette's. Something like that. It was like when I say ridiculous, I mean crazy ridiculous. If you're a carnivore. And this last place was, I think, Maple and Ash. I believe that was the name. Also spectacular. The ambiance, fantastic. The service, phenomenal. The company, amazing. Anyway, so quick little story. So we're there, we're eating, we're drinking, we're having a great time. Kelly is a huge wine aficionado. He studied wine and he just likes wine and you know, different wines for courses, and we spared no expense. I mean, we dined like kings this night. During dinner, had a guy come up and said, "Hey, you know, are you Aaron from Alpha M?" I said, "Yeah." And so it was this guy Bank, and he's from Thailand, and we talked for a little bit, took a picture. It was awesome. I love when people come up to me and want to get pictures and all that good stuff. So, and I should tell you the other funny story. I will. This video might turn into just alpha story time. So long story short, we talk for a second, and he goes over and sits down, and he eats, and we finish our meal. And we're getting ready to go, and it's time like to get the check. And so we're like, you know, "Excuse us, can we have our check, please?" And he said, "It's been taken care of." Say, "What? What are you talking about? This bill was like insane." And all of a sudden, I look over and I see Bank, and he sort of just like waves like, "You're welcome." I said, "No way." We tell the waiter, unacceptable. I go over, I talk to Bank, I thank him immensely, profusely. I'm like, "Man," I said, "do not do this. Thank you so much. The offer is unbelievably kind and sweet, but we went a little nuts, and it's just not needed." And it was the sweetest thing, and it was incredibly kind, and he just wanted to do it to thank me. And it's like just craziness that this happened. Something else crazy that happened. It was just funny. So I'm at the airport, I'm leaving Chicago, and I'm standing in line, and I look over and I see this guy, and I'm like, "Man, he looks familiar. He looks like the actor Paul Giamatti," or whatever, however you pronounce his last name. He's been in a bunch of movies. He's in this new show called Billions. Like, he's a rock star, right? I love him. And he's one of those people, one of those characters that, you know, it's not like a Tom Cruise or like a Brad Pitt, like that type of famous. He's always in like supporting actor roles, and he's even won like, I think, an Emmy or an Oscar or something like that. Anyway, so I see this guy, and I'm looking and I'm looking, and I'm like, "Man, I think it looks like him," but I don't remember Paul Giamatti being like that old and that out of shape. And I'm looking at what he's wearing, I'm just like, "Man, that is pretty bad," right? And so I'm like, whatever. And I sort of forget about him. Like, I guess it's not him. So I go through security, I'm putting my shoes on, I look up, and he's sitting there on the bench. And now I've got a head-on shot. And I'm like, "Dude, this is him," right? And so I go up to him, I'm like, "Excuse me." I said, "Is your name Paul?" And he's like, "Yeah, my name's Paul." I said, "Oh my God, I love your movies." And I'm just pulling up the picture now. And I said, "Would you mind if I got a picture with you?" And he's like, "Yeah, okay." And so we took, does he look familiar? A little bit. Anyway, so we take this picture, and while I'm sitting there getting ready, I hear this voice, and it's, "Hey, I'm next." And I said, "Oh, "Man, I'm sorry." And so anyway, take the picture, I shake his hand, And I say, hey, keep up the great work, and I start to walk away. And all of a sudden I hear, hey, I thought I was next. And I look, the guy wanted a picture with me, right? And then all of a sudden Paul Giamatti looks over at me and goes, well, who are you? And I said, I'm a YouTuber. And that's my funny story. Now let's talk about Tiege. Anyway, it was funny. I thought it was funny. I don't know if you'll think it's funny or not. But Tiege Hanley is rocking and rolling. This weekend last week was amazing. We got so much done. We could have spent another 3 days there. That's one of the challenges. Because I'm always only in town for a few days, like 2 days, we got to pack a lot in. And because we had Brian and Terry talking about marketing and influencers and sort of taking a deeper dive into sort of customer acquisition and Akin and Cindy and having all these new people, and then having Kathleen have all the numbers, all the data, it was just like a lot of information, a lot to absorb, but it was all amazing, and Tiege Hanley is doing incredible. But one thing that Brian, Terry, and myself have been telling Tiege for a little while is we got to get rid of discounts. We got to get rid of discounts. And we know this in terms of like when I'm doing a promotion or when any of these other influencers are doing a promotion, hey guys, there's a link down below along with a discount code to get 20% off, 25% off, whatever it is, saying that you've got to enter this code in order to get the discount. Well, what we have found out and what we have realized, and this is the business lesson here for you guys who, if you ever own a business or start a business that uses influencers, what we have come to realize over just the course of working with hundreds of brands over the course of the past few years is that the more effective way and what is more valuable is to say, guys, you don't mention the code. You just say, guys, there is an incredible offer that is linked down below. You never mention the code. You never mention the discount. You make people basically go to that code in order to find out or see the code, the discount, or whatever it is. The reason why this is so important is because you're going to get a much higher click-through rate. Why is click-through and people going to the site important? Because of remarketing. It is valuable to get a visitor that is interested in Tiege Hanley or whatever you're selling to the site. It's crazy valuable. The other thing that you can do when you don't mention the code is you can change the code. If you've got a landing page, you can test different codes. And so I did a video this past week called, Is Tiege Hanley Better Than Women? The answer will surprise you. It was a totally ridiculous video that I thought was really funny. It was awesome. It got terrible, horrendous views, but the conversions, because it was Tiege Hanley specific, and I sold Tiege Hanley for the first 3 minutes in the video talking about it, the conversions were through the roof. And so it was incredibly effective in terms of a promotion, terribly ineffective in terms of a video that gets lots of views. And so my ego was beat down a little bit. But it's okay because conversions were high. The worst case scenario is nobody watches it and conversions are terrible. But the point of this and why I'm telling you this is because this was the first time that we were experimenting. We tested 3 different coupon or discounts to see which one converts higher, to see if there really is a big difference. I got an itchy nose. Allergies. And the reason you test is because if all things are equal, right? If we're testing like 20, 30, 40%, 3 different coupons, and we find that, pretty much it doesn't matter because you're split testing it, right? A third of the people are getting 20%, a third of the people are getting 30%, a third of the people are getting 40%, to see what has a higher, basically, click-through, or how it converts better. Which one converts better? And so the idea is that you have an idea. You don't want to give away money though, because if you find out that the 20% converts just as well as the 30%, converts just as well as the 40% or whatever it is, you don't want to give away money. And so we were testing it, and all the data has not been sort of realized yet, but we have a real good idea of some really exciting things, and the test was incredibly eye-opening, incredibly valuable, and we're going to be able to take this information from me and use it with other influencers. Because that's the other cool thing, is that for Tiege Hanley to test something with me, it's cheap, right? It's free, essentially, because I don't cost anything. I'm not thousands of dollars to do a promotion with. But somebody like Alex Coster, Bezos, Teaching Men's Fashion, those people cost, a few $1,000s a piece. And it's a lot more, it gets a little more dicey, and the risk goes up because it's a higher, cost to have these people promote it. But our hope and what we're thinking is that now that we have a little bit more data and we can understand, what coupon code is going to, or what discount is going to convert better, we feel like we can actually maximize the effectiveness of these other influencers and have them convert a lot better than they are. But you gotta know the lifetime value of a customer and how long they're basically going to be a customer. Because if you know that your customer is going to be around for 4 months and they're going to have a net value of, say, $50, and this extra discount is sort of eating into your profit, there's all sorts of data and numbers behind it. It's a numbers game, and that's why Kathleen is so critical, and us identifying and knowing exactly how much a customer is worth, how much profitability do we have per box, how many boxes do we need to sell each customer before we make our money back, based on the level, based on the discount. There is a ton of information, and you can get super granular. But this is all the exciting information that you need to know in order to be effective with your marketing, and testing is an essential part of the equation. The other benefit to not having all these discount codes floating around and having the discount pretty much embedded on the landing page that auto-populates when people are checking out is that the app Honey is constantly crawling and searching for discounts. And so people, if you've got it installed on your browser, people are automatically getting discounts that didn't even know discounts were there, because Honey's like, yo, Maverick 22 is a discount code, and it applies it. One of the other downsides to having that, you're like, yo, who cares? People are using your codes, right? Well, it also becomes tricky to track, the effectiveness of the advertising that we're doing. And so getting away from discount codes, not offering the code and having it embedded on the page and being able to change it, because that's the other thing. Maybe for the first 24 hours it's 40%, and then after that it's 30%. Or with remarketing, maybe they come in, they see 30. The next touch, or the next time we go after them, the next ad they see, maybe it's 40, maybe it's 50. It allows us to totally control the situation and the message, and it is so exciting. If you can't tell, I'm pumped. I hope that made sense. I'm not sure if that made sense. But now let's get to the 2 questions that I told you about. The first question comes from Horia CC. Good to meet you. Sorry if I butchered your name. He says, hi Aaron, thank you for being an inspirational person for me. I'm 19 years old and I'm doing web design as a freelancer. I get my clients by promoting door-to-door and cold calling. That is tough, brother. This type of promoting is very time consuming. Absolutely. I know that every entrepreneur must know how to sell in order to remain in business. That's why I bought the training course by Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone kills me. Anyway, now my question is if I should focus on developing my selling skills, or do web design full-time, or to partner with someone that can promote my business so that I can focus exclusively on web design. If so, how much should I pay the person that promotes my business? Great freaking question. Here's the deal. In my opinion, there are salesmen and then there are people that do other stuff, right? It was one of the best decisions I ever made for my Alpha M YouTube channel to hire Terry and Brian to sell advertising for me. I am not the greatest salesman when it comes to selling my services. Am I a good salesman when it comes to pitching products? Yes, but that's not what I like to do. It's not what I'm good at. It's not what I'm interested in. I am more interested in creating a video, and it is better for me to have other people sort of taking that burden off of my plate. Because before them, what I would do is basically just someone would contact me, I just send them a media kit and be like, hey, thanks, let me know, and that was that. If they followed up with me, great. If they didn't, no big deal. I didn't have time to see that process through. And thus I probably lost a lot of deals, and it was just a really crappy experience for both people. The best decision I ever made with that with sort of in terms of advertising in the Alpha M YouTube channel was Brian and Terry. First it was Terry. And right away he took the ball. Now I pay him a commission off of everything that he sells for me. I give him 25%. He gets 25% of whatever he sells. And you know what? I've never made more money. I think that's one of the things that a lot of people are fearful of hiring somebody else to do the selling is they're going to make less money. The idea and the concept behind it is you get to do what you do, they do what they do, and it allows you to do more of what you do, and they also can upsell you if they're a good salesperson. So I would absolutely try and find somebody that can sell for you. Now, you know, in terms of the negotiation of what you work out with that person and who they are, it's up to you. It's all over the board. There is no set, like, hard, fast rule of finding somebody to sell. But I absolutely think that you should do that. You know, commission, I think, is a great thing. You know, find somebody who's hungry, who's good at selling, and let them go to work. And just give them the tools or the information they need in order to sell you effectively and efficiently. And the last question comes from King RBN. It says, hi Aaron, for a small micro business owner who does everything himself, example, selling online, customer service, packaging, going to the post office, etc. That was me, Pete and Pedro. What do you recommend I do when I go out of the country? Holidays, personal reasons. I have my own very small store, e-store. However, I want to create another one that is more legitimate and larger. As these businesses are my side hustle, I do everything and have no family in my country at the moment, and it wouldn't be worth it to pay somebody, an agent, for financial reasons. High cost, risk of them getting all of the info about my business. What do you recommend I do, as I don't want to lose business while I go away? Imagine you didn't have your team, Pete and Pedro, and you needed to go away. Thanks in advance. It was a big pain in the butt, is my answer, and I needed to sort of not go away for a long time, honestly, or send emails. I mean, that's the thing. You know, being a small business where you are doing everything, this is one of the downsides. What I would recommend is trying to look for possibly a intern or somebody that you can bring into, you know, the fold and start to, you know, help you. I mean, you need somebody to alleviate some of the day-to-day operations. I know that it's scary. I know that you're worried about people, you know, understanding and figuring out your entire business and then doing their own thing. This is one of the risks, but hopefully you can find somebody, because until you do, you're not going to be able to go out of the country or for any extended period of time without shutting down operations or having people, you know, have to wait an extremely long amount of time in order to get the products. And people tend to get pissed when that happens. They'll wait for like a week, but anything longer than that, they'll just go somewhere else a lot of times, unless you've got a product or an item that is only or unique to you, which I doubt it is. And so, unfortunately, there's not a simple answer. If you're not comfortable hiring a fulfillment center, or you're tough. I mean, this is the position that you're in, and that was the position I was in with Pete and Pedro. I would pretty much try and schedule it where if I went out of town on a Thursday, you know, I would have to be back on Sunday. My workload then on Monday would be big, and I would send emails. But I also had my assistant Debbie. That's the other thing. Thinking back, I had Debbie who has worked with me for years and years and years, who was handling my customer service. And so she would offload a lot of work and emails and stuff like that. So if I didn't have her, it would have been me, you know, working while I was on vacation. You know, this is the life of an entrepreneur. You do what you need to do, and vacations a lot of times will wait. But at the end of the day, if you've got to go out of town or you need that time, you've got to figure out a solution. You got to try and find somebody, you know, somebody that'll work, you know, affordably, that you can rely on, that isn't going to steal from you. I would start looking, because until you do, you are going to be a slave to your business. And that is where we're going to wrap it up. Gentlemen, business questions. Next week, it's all about you, all about your business questions. Down in the comments, title it business question, and we'll answer them. I'm going to get to as many as possible. If you've got any business related question, Tiege Hanley business question, or just business question in general, down in the comments, let me know, and I will do my level best to get to as many as possible. Gentlemen, thanks so much for hanging out last week. If you missed the video, it is a must watch. It didn't get real great views, but it is a great video, and you get to meet the team, you get to hear from everybody, and it's just awesome to see Tiege Hanley develop and grow as a company. We're kicking some ass, but world domination in terms of skincare is on the horizon and where we want to get to. And so guys, with your help, we can do it. We love you more than our double monk strap shoes. Guys, we'll see you next week.